I move to recognize the gentleman from TUCP party list, the Honorable Raymond Democrito Mendoza, to avail of the privilege R.
The Honorable Raymond Democrito C. Mendoza, our Deputy Speaker from the party list TUCP, is recognized.
Daghang salamat. Maayong hapon. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise today on a matter of personal and collective privilege to speak as a proud son of Cebu, deeply grieving because of the devastation of the Typhoon Tino inflicted upon my hometown, Liloan, and the entire Visayas. This, Madam Speaker, right after an earthquake in the north of Cebu, 6.9 magnitude. Used to be Cebu, walang baha, walang linog, or earthquake. Now we find ourselves in that situation. Madam Speaker, much has been said on the damage wrought and the casualties, the earthquake, as if we're not enough suffering. Typhoon Tino unleashed a fury that none of us ever anticipated. It wrought havoc even greater than Typhoon Uwan. Tino poured a month's worth of rainfall in just one day, claiming hundreds of lives, but perhaps hundreds more which are missing, damaging hundreds of millions worth of infrastructure, agriculture, displacing tens and thousands of the coastal towns of Cebu to the far reaches of Visayas. Madam Speaker, this human tragedy is not only a story of nature's onslaught, but of our nation's wake-up call, so heart-wrenching that it calls upon our conscience and our collective will to immediately act to correct it as a nation. Much has always been said, for many years, billions have been poured into so-called projects. Instead, we have a rise of luxury developments rising on denuded hillsides. We have seen rapid urbanization and even more rapid deforestation. Subdivisions left and right, born of reclamation, reclaimed land, mismanagement, watershed, and whatever waste systems. Top it all, Cebu real estate is very, very expensive, Madam Speaker. From 2001, when I was an ASEC or an Assistant Secretary of Department of Environment and Natural Resources, to 2022, Cebu lost nearly 10,000 hectares of trees or tree cover, according to Global Forest Watch. The greatest losses occurred within the very sanctuary we fought to protect by passing Republic Act number, and if you recall, 9486 by the late Congressman Del Mar, which must be revisited. This is the Central Cebu Protected Landscape, the CCPL Act of 2007. But while much has been said and done, not only to look back on where we have failed, but more must be resolved to move forward into the future. This, I stand to you this afternoon, is finding ways to move forward. So it's moving forward, Madam Speaker. Our people demand and deserve far more than finger-pointing, blame shifting, politicking. They have lost everything, even their loved ones, and much of them are actually members of the TUCP, ordinary minimum wage earners. So we could and we should do everything in our power to help them start all over again. Yet we cannot move on without learning our painful lessons. And so, if it takes another QuadComm, a QuadComm composed of committees on climate change, disaster resilience, ecology, and natural resources to conduct joint congressional inquiry in aid of legislation, let us do it to harness the experience for future resilience. Mind you, this is not the first time. It will happen again. Madam Speaker, this call to the House of the People to immediately act or to correct this issue is made more urgent. Barely 24 hours after the Typhoon Tino arrived or exited our waters, Super Typhoon Uwan entered our area of responsibility. This is of no coincidence, but my friends, my dear colleagues, this is the new normal of climate change. The Philippines ranks among the most disaster-prone nations on earth, vulnerable not only to floods, storms, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions. Yet our response, so often fragmented and short-sighted, has unfortunately failed to match the pace and scale of this challenge. We do not just need flood control or disaster master plans or national or local climate change action plans as mandated by Republic Act 9729 or the Climate Change Act of 2009. We need a comprehensive, coherent climate resilience strategy prepared and understood not only by experts but embraced and embedded in the minds and the hearts of everyday Filipinos, everyday Cebuanos, kanang masabtan sa tanan. Especially as a native of the town Liloan, hardest hit. I remembered Kotkot River, which I used to do paddling my little boat some 30 years ago. Now you see it, they're all dried up, parang quarry. Now we have witnessed firsthand the anguish of the kababayan scrambling to the rooftop, watching their cars, homes, and the fruits of their lifetime swept away in minutes and stacked like cards, and searching desperately for loved ones after the deluge. And so, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, let this House of the people not only express sympathy or raise donations, but let us stand in solidarity to find solutions to this problem. We might want to look into the national land use policy. Asek pa ako sa DNR, nandyan na yan, hindi mapasa-pasa. I think in the 19th Congress we passed it but never made it in the Senate, which ensures that sound land use planning, responsible zoning, massive reforestation, sustainable watershed and waste management, and fostering a culture of preparedness. At this point, I also would like to thank our international friends, the International Transport Federation based in London, ALU TUCP, where they donated as much as 100,000 pounds, about 8 million pesos, to Cebu. And the province of Cotabato, under Governor Emilio Lala Talino Mendoza, during the earthquake in Northern Cebu, they sent a 20-man vehicle, food, rescue workers, doctors, veterinarians, reserves, dump trucks, and the rest. And just recently, a 10-man vehicle of the same to the Typhoon ravaged place of Cebu. Only then Cebu and Visayas and our nation build back better, smarter, and stronger, ensuring that the lives lost, the tragedies we mourn today, are not in vain, but instead serve as enduring lessons to safeguard tomorrow and protect the generations to come. Dagan salamat, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Madam Speaker, I move to refer the speech of the Honorable Raymond Democrito Mendoza to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The motion is approved.